Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join me here today. As always, today it's a beautiful sunny day in St. Louis, Missouri today. I just got done listening to Cobra Tate. Do you know Cobra Tate? I recommend you listen to him. He's a little rough around the edges for today's snowflake society, but it seems like today anybody who tells their truth, their opinion of how they believe things are, it offends someone. We have such a great amount of snowflakes, and I suppose beta males who've grown up that are into technology now, that when you speak something that maybe ruffles their feathers or upsets them, instead of looking within themselves to ask, what is it about this that this gentleman is saying to me that I don't like? What is it that I don't like about me that he's reflecting back to me? Because that's what it is. I have a friend, he's a vice president of a chain of banks, and he has an old saying. He says, if someone gets your goat, well, they can't get your goat unless there's a goat to get. So nobody can push your buttons unless there's a button there to push. Think about that. A person can say anything, and if it doesn't strike you personally, if it doesn't affect you, then there's nothing within you need to look at. You may not like what he says, but you understand everyone has the right, the freedom of speech, to have their own opinion. And as we've seen in our society for the last couple of years, many of us have been denied the freedom of speech in the pursuit, they say, of misinformation being stamped out. We have to stamp out misinformation. I agree. I believe if someone gets on any platform and blatantly lies, which I think we've all heard some people do, it should be brought out into the open. But then again, why not let the consumers of this information decide for themselves and consider the source? I know there are many officials in the last few years that have told us things that they said was supported by the science, and then later on retracted these things which they told us to do, that they said at the time were supported and proved to be true by the science. Later they said weren't true and didn't make any difference. So that's why I think everyone should be allowed to form their own opinion on whatever information comes in, whether it be what some tend to believe is misinformation and what some believe is correct information. Because all information evolves and changes just as truth does. Truth evolves. The truth to me may not be your truth. I don't see this current situation that's been going on for the last couple of years as something horrible. Yes, I've lost a couple of acquaintances and friends. And I know many people, more than I've lost, that have, that have had problems with this current thing going around, and just it really wasn't a problem at all. No worse than the common cold. So I've formed my opinions by what I've heard. I've looked at the numbers and what I believe, and I live my life according to that. And that was what this video is going to be all about, is programming, brainwashing. Now, to brainwash someone, what they do, for example, when you hear that word, the first thing you may think of is a prisoner of war. They will brainwash a prisoner of war to get him to renege or say bad things about his country, say things that aren't true to his fellow patriots. So what they do is they get this man isolated. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? They get this man isolated, and they get him in certain emotional states. Now, how could we have been gotten into emotional states? Fear is an emotional state, a very powerful emotional state. Fear. So they get this person, first off, he's isolated, he's afraid that they're probably going to kill him, maybe they're going to torture him, or maybe they start torturing him with the water deal, where they dunk them in the water, they hold him down, they pull him up, or whatever form of torture they decide to use. This gets a person in an extremely high emotional state. And when they put them in this emotional state, they're constantly putting suggestions into his mind. They're telling him something that's not true, but they want him to believe is true so they can get him to take to take action on this belief, which is false, but they want him to believe it so he can pass that on to other people. So I see this as a correlation of where we have been for the last couple of years if you watch TV, which I don't. Okay? People are afraid. So they're watching this box in front of them, or I guess it's not a box anymore, but back in the old days it was a box. Okay, and everything they hear they're taking in while they're in an emotional state. There's also a certain state when you watch TV that is called a hypnotic state. And the people that make commercials and some of these broadcast programming, whatever it happens to be, realize this. So there's something repeated over and over and over again when you're afraid, and also maybe after you watched your favorite show and you're in a good mood, you're happy. So you have various emotional states as you watch TV. And I think they say, the statistics say that, I'm not sure what the percentage is, but the average American adult watches 4 to 6 hours of TV every day. And then you have this constant input of the same message over and over and over again. This is like a subliminal programming, and you're in various emotional states while this message is coming in. That's why I say, wouldn't it be great if the headline news put all the wonderful things that were happening every day about how many people in the world are healthy, how many people are living long lives, how many people have so much abundance. But no, they focus on the negative, the lack, the sickness, the people who aren't making it, the people who are dying, not the people who are recovering, not the people who are immune to certain things, not those people. They're focusing on the negativity, and thus they're programming the general population with this negativity and with this belief. And all of our actions stem from our beliefs about ourselves, our beliefs about what is going on in the world, about what is happening amongst our people, amongst our peers, amongst our society, our nation, and the population of the globe. This repeated, and you hear it everywhere. Everywhere I go, it's the same message. And I don't watch TV, but it's playing in the background when I go to the store. If you go to the airport, it's hard to get away from the TVs. You have to consciously block this out. We need to think for ourselves. Now, I'm not saying anybody's wrong about what these things they're programming people with. I'm just saying a person needs to think for themselves and program into your mind what you want in there. Do you want fear in there? If there's a devil, it ought to be called fear and doubt, because that causes more problems and more destruction than anything else. People conquer nations because of fear and greed. But the greed comes from the fear of not having enough. You're never going to have enough until what you have today is enough. It's like one of my old mentors told me, Mark, you'll never have enough money until today what you have is enough. That makes a lot of sense. But if you're in lack and you have a lack mentality, that's really hard to understand. I understand it now. And I have been in lack, but it's not only lack of money. Let's say you're not getting enough attention from your woman or your kids, you don't think they're acting right. That's a form of lack. And if you focus on that, that is like a disease. It will infiltrate the rest of your life. It will infiltrate your whole life, your finances, other areas of your life, your business, depending on where you're focusing. If you focus on one area of lack, it will, see, like a cancer, it will seep into all areas of your life. So if you're short on money and you're lacking, but you think abundance when it comes to money, that may very well be true. But where are you thinking lack in other areas of your life? And remember this, I'll back up. If somebody pisses you off and says something that annoys you, what is it in you, or me, if it's the case with me, that this person is telling me? What message am I receiving that I don't want to accept? He's saying something to me about myself that I don't want to look at. Something that's true about me that I need to examine. This is where contemplation comes in. You shut all that crap off, the TV, all that shit, okay? And you sit there in the quiet. Allow your mind to calm down, and then you contemplate your life. You review your life. You think about the things you've done, the consequences of your actions, the benefits, what people have said to you, who annoys you, who makes you feel good. Because just the reverse of that, as I said yesterday, if you admire something about someone, then you have that very trait within yourself, because were it not in you, you couldn't see it in others. The same thing with annoyance. See someone that annoys the hell out of you, You have that same trait within yourself, but you refuse to look at it. Accept that, and also accept that that person you admire, you have those very traits within you. You may not be expressing them, but then again, that will cause depression and anxiety, fear, lack of motivation, and a whole bunch of other things you don't want to come along because you're not taking action on that desire because you're afraid you can't do it. And as I'm sitting here telling you, I can think of things right now that I want to do that I am not taking immediate action on. I'm procrastinating. Procrastination is just fear dressed up in another word. Depression is fear. It's dressed up in depression. We have all kinds of words to describe what basically is just fear. Fear. And look how the population has been controlled by fear. And I'm not saying it was controlled for the worse or the better. I have no opinion on this platform about that. But you can probably guess what my opinion is. What I am saying is that people are controlled and programmed through the emotion of fear. They're offered a solution by the very people that instilled the fear in them. Think about that. They're programmed by the very people who instilled the fear in them. What is their agenda? Is it your health? Maybe, maybe not. Most people are not concerned with your health as much as you are concerned with your health. We can take care of ourselves. I'm all for doctors. I've got how many vaccinations? I have my tetanus shot. I have all the other shots. I only had to have 5 shots when I was born or when I grew up. And I get a booster on a tetanus once in a while. I think that's a good thing. I trust that, okay? I didn't receive any programming about that other than what I was told from my family. My mother's sister died of tetanus. So I had a tetanus shot. Of course, it was mandated when I was younger to go to school, which I complied because I knew nothing, didn't have a choice. But I would have complied anyway. I just got a booster probably 3 years ago because, as I said yesterday, I stuck a rusty nail in my head. So remembering what my mother had taught me, I went ahead and got a booster. I trust that. It's been around a long time, hasn't shown any ill effects. But every person needs to think for themselves. As I say many times, people don't really think. They just regurgitate what they've heard on the radio, on the TV, on the billboards, headline news, papers, etc. Social media. They don't stop and think and look around them and see what's happening in their world. Not the big world, because this big world picture you get from media is filtered through other people's agenda. It's filtered through other people's occurrences in their life, the things that have happened in their life, the way they perceive things. So what they're actually doing, not so much as it seemed like they did when I was young, they reported the news. Now they're giving you a drama, a story, something exciting, something to make you want to watch more of it. They give you a feeling. It may be a feeling of fear, maybe a feeling of relief if they report something of progress that they've made in this current situation. But you have to think about everyone's agenda. Do I have an agenda here? Of course I do. I want you to watch me. I want you to learn. Why do I want that? Why do these people have an agenda? My agenda is this. I know that if I can help you have a better life, it returns to me multiplied. So yes, it's a selfish motive. That is my selfish motive. I'm not going to cover it up. I'm not going to hide it. I've learned in life that by giving to other people, I receive multiplied. Not from you, maybe from you, but usually from someone else. The only mistake people make is when they give to someone or some place, institution, they expect back directly from that. That's not the way the universe works. You may get back from there, but the universe will give you back abundantly, but you got to give for free and for fun. Like I said, I don't expect anything back from you, but I do expect it back from the universe because I lived life the other way where I took and took. I wasn't a thief, but I was a thief of people's time, people's emotions, what I could get from them. And one day I ended up alone in my apartment. And I looked in the mirror and I hated what I saw. I knew why I was by myself because that's all I ever thought about. This is a way that I can be unselfish but satisfy myself. As I say, I call it altruistic selfishness. So yes, that is my motive here, to enlighten, to inspire, and to build up. because that's what I want. I want to be enlightened, I want to be inspired, and I definitely want to build up. And I'm sure you do too, or you wouldn't be here. So that's it. Thanks for joining me. If you'd like to get my help personally, marksinspiration.com, or contact me via email. Smash that like button now and subscribe. Share this with a friend if you think it will be of value to them. Have a great day.